We are in the month of December, ladies and gentlemen. Conference championships have been decided. This is episode 16 of the One-on-Ones podcast on the Field 12 Media Network, presented by Bet River Sportsbook. I'm Harry Douglas, and I'm joined by Coty Sensabaugh. Listen, Coty, as we expected, some conference championships didn't disappoint us at all, but I want to begin with the biggest game of championship weekend. Alabama versus the Georgia Bulldogs. And Coty, I'm gonna let you take this thing off, man, because listen, this game was dope. I had a chance to actually go to this game and watch it live. We did Countdown to College Game Day. Game Day was there as well. Got to see the Zach Brown band perform live. So I'm up there. I know I'm a chicken fried cold on a Friday night. Yeah, I'm up there singing and everything, Coty. So I'll let you start this one off so I can calm myself down a little bit.
Man, it was an amazing game. It didn't disappoint. I think some people were surprised, but one thing I would say is to be as nice as possible. Some teams shine under the light and some look funny under the light. Like Nick Saban spoke on it. I think he referred to it as rat poison that the media had put out leading up to that game. And boy, did them men, because them was grown men out there at Alabama Saturday afternoon in Atlanta, Georgia. And I really want to touch on the offensive line because that's where my concern was. I know it was your concern.
Yep.
And I know I had been talking bad about them the last couple of weeks because they was out there folding like lawn chairs. But when I tell you, you mentioned either last week or the week before, they needed to have a coming to Jesus moment. They had that moment at some point before that game because they didn't give up a sack all game to hands down the most dominant front seven in all of college football all year. As a collective whole, maybe not one specific individual, but as a collective whole, Georgia's front seven has been the most dominant defense across the country. Bryce Young, what can I say about him that hasn't been said? I think he's the best player in the country. Anybody who disagrees with that, I would love to hear their argument.
We don't even want to hear their argument, Coty. Yeah. If they disagree with that, we don't even want to hear their argument.
The young man is amazing, bro. He's one of those guys, how they say he has the it factor. He has the it factor with a capital I and a capital T, exclamation. Like, he is the real damn deal. He has every single thing you could want as a quarterback. He's poised, composed. He can throw on the run. He can get guys lined up. He can escape pressure and make plays. He's one of those guys that makes everybody around him better. And the biggest thing that stood out to me about Alabama's offense, outside of the offensive line, they had, if I'm not mistaken, they had 6 scoring drives in the game. 5 of those went for 75 plus yards. And the 6th drive went for 68 yards. So that means all day long, they was driving up and down the field on that haunted defense that Georgia has put on everybody all year. Yeah. And we talked about it a couple weeks ago when we was mentioning Ohio State, that if you could protect your quarterback against Georgia's defense, you could get busy on that secondary. And boy, did Jameson Williams put on a show. Oh, my Lord. And they ain't even have Michi. Knock on wood, I haven't followed up with what's going on with him. What's his injury?
ACL, so he out.
So he's out.
He hurt. He got hurt in the game.
Exactly.
Exactly. And then for a good portion of it, they didn't have him, which was a blow. Oh, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's.
So that's unfortunate for that young man that he had that injury, because, you know, us playing football and knowing the history of that's a tough injury to come back from. But man, Alabama's special, man. I can only imagine the numbers they had to put up if he would have finished the game.
And it's crazy though, Coty, because I said this the other day, and I said what I said, and I told people I don't want to hear it. Bryce Young is the best quarterback Nick Saban has ever had.
That was a debate. Somebody disagreed with that?
Well, no, I'm not saying anybody disagree. I'm just saying, like, in general, because when you look at Mac Jones is a tremendous quarterback. Did great at Alabama's doing a great job right now, but I don't think he has all the intangibles that Bryce Young has.
What did he throw? 12 passes the other night.
He only threw
two
or three, I believe.
Three. It was one in the game. That's crazy.
Bill Belichick, boy, he's something else. But like for Bryce Young to throw for 421 yards, 3 touchdowns,
clinic.
Didn't have 40 yards rushing, 1 touchdown, not get sacked. And you mentioned it. Their offensive line was big because against Auburn, he got sacked 7 times. Against LSU, he got sacked 4 times. Against Arkansas, he got sacked 4 times. Against Texas A&M, he got sacked 4 times, right? And before that game, the SEC championship game, right? He was 10th in the country in being sacked. Top 10. So that's why I tell people where there's a debate about Bryce Young, no, it's not, because he's not sitting back there in the pocket with all day long to throw the football. Right. It may have been that in the SEC championship game, but he has been under duress this entire season. And it's multiple times I'm watching film and he's got a blitzer coming right down the middle of his chest. He's standing there, boom, getting drilled, but he's delivering a football on point, right? So it's just little things like that. And I love his quick twitchiness, the way he escapes the pocket, but he doesn't escape it all the time. Well, majority of the time to try to run, his eyes are still downfield looking for a completion. And if he has to run, then he runs. So he's not your traditional dual threat quarterback where you're going to be like, okay, he's trying to run whenever he gets outside the pocket. No, he's still trying to complete the football downfield, but his demeanor, his cool, calm, and collected demeanor, man. He don't let the highs get too high. He don't let the lows get too low. And that Jameson Williams. And I tell people, and I tell you, Bama should have came into the game doubling Jameson Williams, because when he went out against Auburn, Georgia should have doubled Jameson Williams, because when he went out in the game for the targeting call against Auburn, the offense kind of struggled.
You seen the difference?
Yes. And I'll tell you, keep playing that game. Alabama had 1st and 20 backed up. They had just got a holding penalty, 1st and 20, right? And I'm trying to remember what the coverage was. I was sitting beside Thomas Davis. It was John.
I know he was hot.
John Mechie was lined up in the slot against, I think, one of their safeties. And I was hitting TD. I was like, look. They completed a slot fade for a first down on 1st and 20, backed up. You posted with your defense, you supposed to say, okay, they're backed up 1st and 20. We're going to get this football back at midfield, if not in Alabama territory. No, they figured out a way. And the entire game, man, I thought Bryce Young, the receivers, the tight ends, the offensive line, the running backs, blitz pickup. And everybody's like, why don't Georgia keep sitting the blitz? They were sitting the blitz. Alabama was picking the blitz up. They did a great job of picking it up. The coaching staff did a great job of blitz pickup the entire week leading up to the game. They did a great job of that because they knew it was coming. They knew Kirby was going to blitz. Kirby blitzed the hell out of them in the game last year, the previous year. But that Bama defense, held that Georgia offense at 3 for 12 on 3rd downs. They got 2 turnovers. They got a pick 6. And Georgia offensively, and Stetson Bennett. I love Stetson Bennett. I love the mailman, but the mailman didn't deliver on that Saturday. The year before, he struggled in that game against Alabama. And I left that game saying, okay, they're not going to be able to win A, B, C, or D with this kind of play at the quarterback position. Now, Stetson Bennett has been good all year, but he hasn't been challenged like he was in the SEC championship game. And when Georgia had to come back, he couldn't do it with his arm. He almost threw a pick 6 early in the game that a lot of people forgetting about. Hit the Alabama safety right in the hands, and he should have walked in the end zone. Yeah. So, and I know Kirby came out and said, I don't think my defense put Stetson Bennett in a good position. But hey, besides that, what happened? You had an opportunity to make a quarterback change, and you didn't make it. Because see, Nick Saban made that quarterback change in the national championship game from Hurts to Tua. And then in another SEC championship game, Hurts came in and balled out. So why is Nick Saban making these moves at the most crucial times in football games, but you aren't making these same moves. And I think going forward, when you look at Georgia college football playoffs, for them to win a national championship, JT Daniels has to be their quarterback. Because he has to be, because you run up in a team like Michigan. I think Michigan is one of the most complete football teams in college football. They're both physical. They're both physical at the point of attack, right? But if it comes to a pass game, Michigan has the edge to me.
Right.
Because of their quarterback, K. McNamara. Right. He has the edge to me. So I don't see how Georgia's going to win a national championship with Stetson Bennett being their quarterback.
Georgia looked like a team, and we touched on this last week leading up to the game. Georgia looked like a team that hadn't been in a dogfight since week 1 against Clemson.
Yep.
Alabama's schedule dogfights that they had.
You said this. You said it last week. You said it last week. You said them boys had been in dogfights week in and week out against rival games. You said it.
And it showed. And for some reason or another, and I've watched Alabama a lot the last couple years because they've been facing Clemson, ironically, in a lot of these situations in the playoffs. But for some reason or another, Nick Saban puts a different battery in his guys' back when those lights come on.
Yep.
For as good as they are in the regular season, Alabama turns into a different team when it's championship time. I don't know what he's saying in those meetings, but they just turn into a different team as individuals and collectively as a whole. And I want to ask you one question before we go to the next topic. Jameson Williams, I love his game. As a former NFL college receiver, what is it about him that makes him so special?
Well, I say number one, his big playability, right?
He's electric.
He's explosive. He's fast. He runs routes, and I think the fact that his attitude, he knows he's the shit.
Can't nobody guard him.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he
knows can't nobody guard him.
And you gotta have that demeanor, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he know nobody's fucking with him. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's the way
Georgia's sideline the whole day. Like, even when they were losing, he was talking shit. When it was 10-0.
Coty, let me tell you what I love about him though. Somebody asked him after the game about special teams. He said he asked to be on special teams. So when they got a punt, that's why he got the targeting call against Auburn.
He's the gunner.
Yes. He asked to be. He said, I just feel like I need to be on the field on 4th downs.
There's not too many receivers. There's not too many receivers that have that mindset.
He a dog, bro.
He grew up playing some defense at some point in his life to want to be a gunner as a number 1 receiver. Because how many number 1 receivers going out there playing gunner?
Not many at all. But it brings me back, and I'm thinking about this now. Devontae Smith won the Heisman Trophy last year. I remember seeing Devontae Smith doing some gunner. I remember seeing him doing some punt returns, and Jameson Williams does some returns as well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just that mindset at Bama, right? That mindset. And even though he may have asked, but it's that mindset like, okay, nobody's above anything at the University of Alabama. You know what I mean? The common goal is to win. And bro, I just love his attitude, man. I love the way he's excited. Not when he make plays, but when everybody makes plays on his football team. I watched him on the sideline being rowdy, being excited, being energized. And I love those type of players, man. Like I love that because yes, this game is emotional. You grind it every week in practice. You grind it since you was a kid to get the moments like that. Show them emotions. Let them emotions be shown. Let everyone in the country see it. So I like, and he had I think Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, if I'm not mistaken, come to the game. He said he asked them, did they want to come to the game? And so they came and watched him and checked him out. So that was big, man.
That's dope. That's dope. But he's special, man. He looked like he out there joysticking around, man. And I don't know who the receivers coach is at Alabama, but shout out to him because he's NFL right now.
Oh, yeah.
And we already see the products they have in the NFL right now. But the way he prepares those young men, Second to none.
Let me tell you guys a little bit about our partners at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up with Bet Rivers yet, now's the time because they're offering $250 match bonus for your first deposit. Now, what sets them apart is that they require just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. With their new Rush Play Instant Approval, withdrawing your winnings is safer, more secure, and more reliable. With the football season heating up, get in on the action by going to betrivers.com today or by downloading the Bet Rivers iOS app. Now, you must be 21 years or older, and if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. The next game I want to get to, Michigan, man. They finally won them a Big Ten championship. First one in a long time, right? And Michigan, we already know about them, man. They physical at the point of attack, the offensive line. They're 3 deep. They're not too deep in the backfield no more. They're 3 deep with Corum, Haskins, and Edwards. Edwards is the guy who threw that touchdown, 75-yard touchdown pass to Ronnie Wilson. So they're 3 deep in their backfield, solid offensive line, solid defense. I think they're good at all 3 levels. You look at Ajabo and Hutchinson on the defensive line. You look at Josh Ross at the linebacker position. And then you look at that secondary and Daxton Hill and DJ Turner and Vincent Gray and those guys and their safeties playing good football. That's why I like this team. I think they're a complete football team. They're going to bring that physical presence. And I think Michigan football, it's back, man. It's back. Michigan football is back. And Hutchinson had another sack in the game too.
Yeah, man. You got to give it up to Harbaugh, man. He's turned that program around. He's done everything that's been asked of him. And it's good to see him get that monkey off his back. But something I noticed about Michigan, and you have to respect, is they're an old-fashioned football team.
Yeah, and I love it.
They not flashy. They not trying to be cute. They not trying to trick nobody. They lining up and saying, we're going to bust your ass in the trenches on both sides of the ball. Deal with it.
Hey, you know what they basically do? You know how Bill Belichick had that little Navy face mask, basically letting people know he was gonna run the football the other night. Mm-hmm. You know they gonna run the football.
There ain't no questions.
Either you gonna stop it or not. Hands down.
I think they rushed for 200 plus or 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
It's no secret. There's no secret what they're gonna do. Cade McNamara, he was solid as usual. Their pass rush, for as great as it's been this year, Iowa kind of held that in check. I mean, Michigan only had 1 sack the whole game and only had 4 tackles for loss. I mean, if I would have seen those numbers before the game and said, can Iowa win this game if they only give up 1 sack and 4 tackles for loss, I would say, hell yeah. So the fact that Michigan was able to beat them in this fashion without their defense dominating and really changing the game, I think that has to give a boost of confidence to them moving forward, because the offense held it down, man. Like they held it down against Ohio State, but like that was a full team effort of domination.
And it goes to say about their team, though, right? You know what I mean? How complete they are.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's not just going to be one group. It's not just going to be one side. I mean, collectively together as a team, man, they play a great brand of football. And I say when you get to this point, man, you can be a physical team, and on offense, defense, and special teams, you give yourself a chance. Mm-hmm. Right? You give yourself a chance. And I add another guy in the run game that I didn't even mention, like their backup quarterback. So basically, they have 4 guys in the run game, and J.J. McCarthy, Edwards, Corum, and Haskins, 4 guys that can line up and give you problems as a defense when you're facing them. So that's a luxury to have. And then Cade McNamara, man, I'm going to continue to say this. Listen, Michigan and their program, they've been wanting to play J.J. McCarthy. But he's been sitting J.J. McCarthy down because he's been that excellent this season. And kudos to him for never wavering and embracing the young buck and those guys doing it together as a team.
And also with Cade McNamara, like, it's not always pretty, but he gets the win. And at the end of the day, that's what matters most. They had that one hiccup against Michigan State, but since then, they didn't found their identity. They didn't found their rhythm. They didn't found their cadence. And I can't wait to see that rushing attack against Georgia.
Yes, sir.
Because it ain't nothing else to debate. We know what they gonna do. They know what we gonna do.
Facts.
So
the next game I want to get to, Coty, Big 12 championship game. Ooh, this was a thriller.
man,
This was a thriller. Oklahoma State. They was inches away from a Big 12 title. So I want to give congratulations to Baylor though, because Baylor came into this game with their backup quarterback Blake Shapen.
mm-hmm.
And he went 23 for 28, 180 yards, 3 touchdowns, didn't turn the football over. But the Baylor defense in this game came up huge. And I tell people, if you watch the first matchup, Baylor versus Oklahoma State, that Baylor defense got the Oklahoma State offense then. They got 3 interceptions that time, but they got 0 points off of those turnovers. And they almost got a 4th on the first drive of the game in the first matchup. This matchup, defense came away with 4 of them.
Man,
Spencer Sanders threw 4 interceptions. But Oklahoma State still, Coty,
was in the game.
Still, they were down 21-3, came down to the final drive, Coty, 17 plays. First and goal, I think, from the 2-yard line. I'm thinking in my head, how do you not score from first and goal from the 2-yard line?
Man, that's a lot of plays you can call from that playbook.
But for Oklahoma State, their backup running back was in Desmond Jackson. They didn't have a star in Jalen Warren because the last play of the game that Jackson got stopped on, I immediately said when he got the football, if that's Jalen Warren, he's gonna probably walk into the end zone with ease. It's true when people say it's a game of inches, it's a game of inches. But I'm still trying to figure out why in the hell Oklahoma State was in shotgun on 4th and 1 from the 1-yard line, 4th and goal from the 1-yard line. Why are you in shotgun?
That's that cute shit we be talking about.
Like, why are you in the shotgun?
Tell you one thing, you won't see Alabama, Georgia, or Michigan in the shotgun on 4th and goal from the line. I tell you that. Man. I tell you that. 4 interceptions, man. That tells a story. Like, you're not going to beat anybody throwing 4 interceptions. The fact that they even had a chance to win, kudos to Oklahoma State, man.
And their defense, man.
Oklahoma State's defense, amazing. Like they've been all year, 6 sacks, 11 tackles for loss. I feel bad for those guys because the way they've played all year, they deserve to be in the playoffs. The way that defense has played all year, and it's unfortunate that it's a team game and offense, defense, and special teams matters. But till you can take care of the ball, man, you don't have a chance. And you got to give it up to Baylor's quarterback who stepped in. He came in, he was efficient. He did what he needed to do, took care of the ball. 180, like you said, 3 touchdowns. That's amazing, man. Like, he got the job done. So shout out to Baylor. And I think that Oklahoma win a couple weeks ago was really the one that put the battery in Baylor's back, because since then they've been rolling, and hopefully they can finish off this bowl season strong. And I'm very interested to see where they're at next year moving forward, because I think this year was huge for them in ascension, ascension for sure. So shout out to Baylor. And man, 4 picks. I mean, I know we're going to get to it a little bit later, but we've seen it with Wake Forest, man. You can't turn the ball over 4 times and win the game. Like, it's just.
No, they got lucky the first game.
Right.
They got lucky the first time, but hey, luck ran out. That luck ran out.
Yeah,
and
man.
I'm going to get to the next game, but before Oklahoma State, another thing they're probably down about, their defense coordinator just took the defense coordinator job at Ohio State. So now he's gone. But I want to get to Cincinnati. Cincinnati is the first group of 5 team to make the college football playoffs. So, yes, they have made history. That natty. So I wanted to salute them for winning the AAC championship over Houston. And Jerome Ford was great in this one. 18 carries, 187 yards, 3 touchdowns. Desmond Ridder went for 193 touchdowns. That defense had 8 sacks. 8 sacks. 8 sacks in a football game. Not just a football game, but the conference championship game. And for Cincinnati, man, it's first of all, it's tough to go undefeated. It's the first time Cincinnati football is going undefeated in the season. It's tough So I got to congratulate them on that, because the focus that it takes week in and week out, especially when you're undefeated, everyone's gunning for you. It has to be at a high level.
And they brought it every single week.
Yeah, they did. And they deserve that 4th spot in the college football playoffs. And now they got a tough task. But I'm looking forward to seeing Ahmad Gardner versus Jameson Williams. That's the matchup I'm looking forward to seeing, because Gardner's a big, long, rangy corner, one of the best in the country. So I'm interested to see if Cincinnati's going to play Alabama man-to-man and try to let Gardner take care of it, or they're on the corner, Kobe Bryant, who's good as well, or are they going to try to double Jameson Williams? But I'm going to be looking for the one-on-one matchups, because I know a lot of NFL scouts probably want to see that matchup as well.
Speaking from a corner perspective, you take pride in the work you put in, just like you did as a receiver. You definitely want that one-on-one smoke. But at the end of the day, if I'm the coach for Cincinnati, I'm doubling him. I'm not letting him beat me. There's no way in hell I'm giving him single coverage and letting him take over a game, because he showed you consistently that he can do that. He just did it against the number 1 defense in the country. You know what I'm saying? Or I don't know if they're statistically ranked number 1, but if you ask anybody who was the best defense all year, they would say Georgia. I'm not letting that guy beat me, especially with Michi being out. I'm not saying the other receivers from Alabama aren't capable, because they are. They're there for a reason. But I'm not letting him beat me. But got to give it up to Cincinnati as a whole. Quarterbacks played well all year. He's done everything he needed to do. And I'm happy to see them in there, because, like you said, they're undefeated. They're the first team to do it. But also you gotta look at the scenario. There was a lot of losses this year from numerous teams that basically gave the committee no choice but to put them in there. I would have liked to have seen a couple different scenarios that would have made the committee had to work a little harder, because a couple weeks ago we was like, man, the committee, they're going to have a tough time figuring this out. But to be honest with you, the way everything played out, I felt like it was kind of easy for the committee.
Yeah, well, I'll say this. If Oklahoma State goes into the Big 12 championship game and just say they blew Baylor out.
Right.
We don't know what the committee would have done.
It's a different conversation. I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, but not taking nothing away from Cincinnati. They earned it. They deserved it. That defense been balling all year. Like I said, the quarterback, I love their running back. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, he averaged 10 a clip Saturday.
Man, he was
18 for 187. That's crazy.
And I'll say this, and I said this a while ago. Cincinnati, when Jerome Ford is willing and dealing, then they're tough to deal with, because now you have the run game from him, then you have the pass and running threat of Desmond Ridder. And another guy I think has been stepping up lately for this team is Alec Pierce, a wide receiver. He has become that go-to, but still, I'm going to say, when they need that bona fide guy to make a play, who is it going to be in this game against Alabama? I want to know who it's going to be.
What I'm really looking forward to seeing in this game, obviously Cincinnati's defense versus Alabama's offense, but I'm really looking forward to the chess match between Nick Saban and how he gets pressure.
And Luke Fickell.
I'm interested to see that, because Cincinnati's passing game is built on timing. It's timing and it's rhythm. I don't see Nick Saban letting him sit back there and catch a rhythm and get comfortable. So I'm interested to see that chess match.
But I will say to Cincinnati's advantage as well is that they do have a dual threat guy, right?
Yes,
what has given a Nick Saban defense problems? A dual threat quarterback. They might have to go some up tempo though, because up front I don't think they match up with Bama's defensive front. Front seven, I should say. So they might have to go some tempo. Those are the type of things, some tempo, quick snaps, shifts and motions. Those are things in the past that have gave Alabama defense some problems. So and they got enough time to implement it, right? They got enough time to do it. But at the same time, Nick Saban has a lot of time to prepare for you as well. And he's going to figure out what you're great at, and he's going to try to take that away. So,
and I'm seeing a different bounce in Alabama's secondary step.
mm-hmm.
I'm seeing a different bounce and rhythm to the way they're carrying themselves. They're looking like when they had Drake Kirkpatrick and Minkah Fitzpatrick and Landon Collins and Kareem Jackson and guys like that. Like, they're moving with that type of rhythm now. So I'm interested to see how they fare up against Cincinnati. It's going to be an exciting game.
I can't wait for it.
And now a quick message from our sponsors over at BetterHelp. Is there something that is preventing you from achieving your goals or interfering with your happiness? If there is, let me tell you guys about BetterHelp. Professional help done securely online. Check out betterhelp.com/ones. BetterHelp will assess your individual needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist to allow you to connect in a safe and private online environment. It's so convenient, you can start communicating in less than 48 hours. BetterHelp is not a crisis line. It's an avenue to accessing professional therapy without having to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room. BetterHelp has licensed professionals who specialize in depression, stress, anxiety, as well as relationship and grief counseling. You can message your counselor at any time and get timely, thoughtful responses. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions. Find the particular expertise you need online. Don't limit yourself to the counselors located near you, and do it in a manner that is more affordable than traditional offline counseling. Financial aid is also available. So many people have been using BetterHelp that they are recruiting additional counselors in all 50 states. I want you to start living a happier life today. As a listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting betterhelp.com/ones. Join over the 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health. Again, that's betterhelp.com/ones today.
Coty, can you do me a favor and read that first line, of the whole ad read again? The audio cut out just a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Now, another one I think I'm looking forward to myself. It says on New Year's Day is the Fiesta, PlayStation Fiesta Bowl, number 5 Notre Dame versus number 9 Oklahoma State. Marcus Freeman is the head coach now at Notre Dame. That's going to be his first game.
Wow.
I want to see that. I want to see that offense go against that defense of Oklahoma State, even though they lost their defensive coordinator. So that's just a little quick one. Before we get to the Pitt win over Wake Forest in the ACC championship game, and I want to talk about you being a defender, right? The Kenny Pickett fake slide for that 58-yard touchdown, man. Like on third, it was on 3rd and 5 too. How would you view that play? What do you think about it? Because for me, I'll tell you what I think first, Coty, man. Let me tell you what I think first. Like, we can't keep changing and making rules for everything that I think we already got enough rules changing and but was it bad that he did it? But it's not like he went all the way down and then, you know what I mean? But what's your thought on it? Because there are mixed thoughts on this subject.
First of all, I want to say it was a hell of a play, mentally and physically, because I've never seen anybody else do that. I may be mistaken, but I can't recall somebody else doing that. So I want to say it's a hell of a play on his part. As a defender, it's tough, man. Like, you don't want to get called for a flag, because if he slides and you hit him, it's an automatic flag.
No.
Not even to mention the targeting with the level he's moving up and down. You don't know how that's going to turn out. But if I'm the coach for Wake Forest after that, I'm not mad at my player. That's what you was thinking? Okay, cool. I understand that. I respect that. Next time, shoot your gun. If he slides and you get a flag, I'm okay with that. But we can't allow him to run it. We can't allow that to happen again.
Yeah.
So from now on, shoot your gun, and we'll deal with the consequences later. That's how I look.
Do you think they should make a rule? Because on the other side of it, I do understand where defenders are coming from, because
right.
Like, you don't want a touchdown being scored on you, but then at the same time, you don't want a targeting call, a penalty, and all this nonsense.
Right. What would the rule be called, and like how would it be?
That's what I'm saying, though. Like, that's what
I'm saying.
That's the part that's bothering me a little bit, because I'm like, so how are you going to determine, like, What if somebody giving a dead leg and people think they finna slide? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right. I don't, and I'm a defender. Like, I would hate to play against that as a defender, but it's like, I don't know how you make that a rule. I just don't. I don't see that. I think as a defender, you just gotta shoot your gun, like because you know, like I know, hit him in the mouth one time, and it's gonna have him second guessing. It's gonna have him.
He gonna make sure he slide the next time.
You know what I'm saying? Now, don't hit nobody with the crown of your head, but you have to shoot your gun. It's no different. It's no different than a guy running on the sideline, and you think he's about to run out, and then he ends up running you over. Then you look silly. It's like, yo, shoot your gun, and we'll deal with the consequences after the fact. Now, you don't want to get a penalty. You obviously don't want to hurt nobody, but you don't want to give up 7.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a tough thing, but I don't see at any point in time how that can be a rule, because I think that's somebody who's just being a football player and being creative. Now, with him doing that, I do think we will see people trying to do that.
Hey, especially now that all this attention is being on it. So
right. But I don't see him trying to do it no more. I guarantee you, when he runs the ball from here on out, he gonna get down. He not gonna play around with it, because he got a target on his back now, because he was the trailblazer for that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man,
it's no different. It's no different than when offensive players started hurdling defenders.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you gonna make a rule for that too. Like, that's, you know, sometimes
can't make a rule for everything.
Can't, man, because at the end of the day, it's still football.
It's football. That's what I'm saying.
You got to allow guys to be who they are. Guys are creative. Guys are athletes. Like, and that shit's happening fast. People don't realize how fast the game is until you see it live, up close and personal. Like, that shit's happening fast. So by the time a referee think the player's about to do something, like, he loves going, man. That stuff is happening fast. Because then, if that's a rule, then you're basing it on the judgment of the referee. Every referee is different. And
want that.
Just being completely honest, there's already a lot of inconsistencies with calls. That adds more inconsistency, because it's judged off this one person that's in the moment right then and there. Their theory and their thought behind it. And I just don't think.
I agree with you. Now, Pittsburgh's defense, 5 sacks, got 4 interceptions. But, you know, coming into this game now, they were second in the nation in sacks, only behind Oklahoma State.
You said that.
Yep. So they did their thing. They showed up defensively. They had the better defense than Wake. That's why they won the football game, and they had the Heisman candidate, Kenny Pickett, as well. So him and Jordan Addison, they had a hell of a game together. Last one we got to talk about is Utah, the rematch, right? Utah versus Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game. And I think the physical presence of the Utah Utes came to play from start to finish in this game for the second time, actually, that these teams played each other. The first time was a good old-fashioned whooping. This one was a good old-fashioned whooping as well. The run game from Thornton and Rising, both of those guys. I thought the Utah defense really gave Anthony Brown, the quarterback for Oregon, some problems, man. Mm-hmm. They got a guy at the linebacker position named Damon Lloyd, who was probably going to be the first linebacker taken. Athletic as hell. Had a pick 6 in this game. But I think the most impressive thing for me that came from Utah winning this football game is a simple fact that they mentioned Ty Jordan and Aaron Lowe. Those are 2 guys who passed away.
Rest in peace.
Yep. Both guys' best friends passed away a year apart from one another. But from the head coach to the star players, they made sure the attention was on those 2 young men and make sure they was recognized for the efforts that they gave while they were still living. Mm-hmm. And that was huge to me, man, because at the greatest heights and the greatest moments, mm-hmm. every coach, every football player thought of those 2 young men from Utah.
Yes, sir.
That was big for me.
It just shows that they were playing for a higher purpose, and they were indebted to that. And man, did it not show? Like, it was an old-fashioned ass whooping 2 times in a row. It's like you beating somebody up, and they're like, all right, I'm gonna come back to your house 2 weeks later. Then you beat them up again and send them back home. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy for me looking at Oregon, because it's like, damn, in back-to-back games against this team, you let them jump out on you early. Like, no one is good enough to overcome the deficits that they let Utah go up every single time.
Yeah.
It was 23-0 at half. Like, you know how hard that is to come back from? Especially when they already have the mental over y'all from last time. They know they punched you in your face and you walked away. You know what I'm saying? So, man, you got to give it up to Utah. And like we said, they were playing for a higher purpose. I think it's amazing that they honored those two young men. And I know they're smiling down on them because Utah been playing some football. I'm excited to see where they go moving forward. Like,
yeah, I'm excited for the Rose Bowl. They get to play Ohio State, so
yeah.
I want to see how those guys are gonna fare up against Ohio State. They're deserving of it. To be able. I know everybody probably we want to see Oregon, Ohio State. Listen, Utah.
No, we don't.
Utah earned it. Earned their stripes. They earned it. They're going to the Rose Bowl, not Oregon.
Man, listen. If somebody says they want to see Oregon, Ohio State this year, they need to know that Marcus Mariota ain't at Oregon no more. D'Anthony Thomas ain't at Oregon no more. Like, you know what I'm saying? Those guys are gone. No disrespect to the guys they got now, but if you think they more deserving than Utah,
and to throw salt in the wound, Oregon's coach is now in Miami. Mario Cristobal coaching the Miami Hurricanes. So it's a possibility Chip Kelly might be back. We don't know. It's a possibility Chip Kelly might be back. We'll see about that. Ladies and gentlemen, that is episode 16 for y'all. Next week, episode 17, we get some Heisman talk. Making my way up to New York to the Heisman Trophy ceremony this weekend. And we're going to have a lot to talk about. So make sure y'all join us. Thank y'all for joining episode 16. Remember, next week is episode 17, Heisman talk. Catch y'all then.